See, what you have to ask yourself is, what kind of person are you? Are you the kind that sees signs, sees miracles? Or do you believe that people just get lucky?
M Night Shyamalan has had quite the interesting career. He's a director famous for making some of the best movies of all time, as well as some of the worst. For how famous he was, and really still is, I'd gone most of my life without ever seeing one of his films. That all changed about a year and a half ago, when I finally saw The Sixth Sense for the first time. I don't need to tell you how good this movie is. I can see why people think of this as Shyamalan's best film, but I disagree. You see, after watching The Sixth Sense, I watched the rest of his early films and some of his later ones. Among the movies I watched was, of course, his third film, Signs. A movie considered by many to be just okay. Which is a totally fair assessment for people to have, but I'm not most people. I myself am a Christian, and as a Christian, I think Signs is one of the most wonderful films ever made. This movie can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but to me, Signs is a movie where the theme is about proving the existence of God. Not only that, but it's also about showcasing God's unknowable grace, about telling us to just have faith, because even if we can't see it, God's light is always shining in the darkness of life. And I don't think you have to be a Christian to appreciate this film's theme. Even if you are an atheist, agnostic, or belong to another religion entirely, you can still understand why this theme works for these characters in this story. Basically, you can pick up what Shyamalan is putting down. For those of you who are only slightly familiar with this movie, you might be thinking to yourselves, what the fuck is he talking about? Isn't this a movie about hydrophobic aliens? Well, yes. The broad strokes plot of the movie centers around an alien invasion, but the plot of Signs is not at all what Signs is actually about. But just so everyone has a basic understanding of the film, I'll quickly go through its plot. Which of course means spoilers for the movie Signs. If you want to avoid those, you should leave now and watch the film for yourself. Before you depart, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like, subscribe, or even join my new YouTube memberships. More information about that at the end of the video. With all that said, let's dive in. Signs primarily takes place on a small farm in the outskirts of Philadelphia. The farm is owned by Graham Hess, who lives there with his two children, Morgan and Beau, and, as of recently, also his younger brother, Merrill. Over the course of the film, they began seeing signs of extraterrestrial life arriving on the planet. At first, them, along with the whole world, writes this off as an elaborate hoax, but as the days go by, it becomes more and more undeniable that aliens really have begun invading Earth. The human race is facing the possibility of an extinction-level event at the hands of extraterrestrial life. But humanity isn't exterminated, because just as quickly as they came, they left. Humanity found out the aliens have a weakness to water and forced them all to retreat. So that's the very brief description of the movie Signs. And as you heard, neither God or the existence of him came up at all in that synopsis. But remember, the plot of Signs and what Signs is actually about are two very different things. It's the details, the dialogue, the interactions around characters navigating these possible end times, which reveal the true meaning of Signs. So let's go through the movie again. But instead of focusing on plot events, I'll focus on the details, the dialogue, the characters. And along the way, we'll see how Signs carefully places its breadcrumbs in such a way to culminate in one of my favorite movie climaxes I've ever seen. To start, we have to talk about the film's protagonist, Graham Hess. When we first meet him, he seems like a fairly typical family man. He cares for his children and wants to keep them safe. So, when massive crop circles appear in his farm, he's naturally a little concerned. These crop circles, these signs, are appearing at a very tumultuous time in Graham's life. You see, he used to be a reverend, but for reasons that aren't immediately clear to us, he gave up the faith altogether.
Caroline? Please stop calling me father.
At the beginning of the movie, we see that Graham is someone who's rejected God outright. He's already in a place of darkness, and that's before his family is even in any real danger. Speaking of his family, all of them are incredibly important to this story. The four characters together form the backbone of the entire narrative and the thematic core. Morgan, Graham's son, is a rather serious child, even though he's only in the neighborhood of, 10 years old. Throughout the movie, he takes the idea of an alien invasion very seriously, and seeks to learn as much as he can about this unprecedented event.
Do you have any books on extraterrestrials?
Morgan is also someone who suffers from asthma. Throughout most of the film, this doesn't play much of a role, but this aspect of Morgan's character is central to the climax. Graham's daughter, Bo, has a character quirk that's a bit more present through the film.
Bo has this thing about her drinking water. She had it her whole life. It's like a tick people have, except it's not a tick.
She constantly finds something nebulously wrong with her glasses of water. And so instead of finishing them, she just leaves half-full glasses of water all around the house. It's a miracle nobody's spilled one over by accident yet. Apart from the water thing, Bo doesn't have too much of a distinct personality. She's a follower of others, and given her incredibly young age, that works just fine for her. The final main player in Signs is Graham's younger brother, Merrill. Merrill is much more fleshed out than either of the two children. He gets a lot more scenes and a more defined personality. He's a jock-type character, but a jock who's developed far past being one-dimensional. When he was a bit younger, he played in minor league baseball, where he made quite the name for himself with his record-breaking home runs.
You've got 2 minor league home run records, don't you?
5.
He could only attain these records by earning himself another, less prestigious record. The minor league strikeout record. He would put his full force behind every single swing, even if the pitch coming to him was obviously terrible.
Didn't matter what the coaches said. Didn't matter who was on base. He would just whip that back through the air as hard as he could.
Merrill might have had a killer swing, but having the force of a Mack truck doesn't mean much if you can only hit the ball when it's standing still. And that's the entire family introduced. If you've been paying attention, you might have noticed something a little peculiar. There's no mother around. Graham's wife isn't in the movie. She died 6 months prior to the start of the film. Even if she's not around anymore, her absence is in itself a very important character, or at least a crucial plot element. Her death is the reason for Graham's abandonment of the church. After her tragic death, he couldn't believe in the goodness of God anymore.
I am not wasting one more minute of my life on prayer. Not one more minute.
It's somewhat unclear to me if Graham has fully turned atheist in the wake of this tragedy, or if he still believes in a god but no longer trusts or cares for him. The movie presents us with evidence to support both possibilities.
Why do you talk to Mom when you're by yourself?
Makes me feel better.
This could still mean he believes in a life after death, or, like he says, this simply makes him feel better, and there is no deeper meaning. At the end of the day, either interpretation works to support the ultimate theme of the movie, that being that God is real, and if you just have faith and put your trust in him, everything will work out. Maybe not in the way you expected, but always in the way that you needed. Signs is very interested in having the discussion about the existence of God and his ultimate design. Many scenes are in some way about this, but the best scene in which this discussion is the focus also happens to be the best scene of the movie. The scene I pulled from for the start of this very video. The scene about signs. The premise of the scene is simple. Graham is describing how humans are probably falling into two different groups regarding the appearance of aliens. Group number 1 is defined by their belief in a higher power. That when something good happens, something lucky, it must be a sign that someone really is looking out for them somewhere. They don't know what to think of the aliens, but they believe no matter what,
There'll be someone there to help them. And that fills them with hope.
Group number 2 is a group that doesn't believe in higher powers. It's a group that believes in just luck, just coincidence, nothing more. They think no matter what happens with the aliens,
They're on their own. And that fills them with fear.
this whole speech in the scene is given by a man who's lived his life on both sides of that coin. He spent who even knows how long as a devout reverend, but after his wife died, he stopped trusting God, stopped putting any amount of faith into him. Graham ends the conversation by telling Meryl about his wife's final words. See and swing away. Something he writes off as meaningless memory flashes of a dying woman seeing Meryl's old baseball games. He can't find meaning in anything that happens to him anymore. His opinion of the situation regarding the aliens is made very clear.
There is no one watching out for us, Meryl. We are all on our own.
Tensions only grow as the days pass on. The extraterrestrials make their presence undeniable, and their hostile intentions clear as crystal. They kill and kidnap using a poison mist they secrete from their bodies, exposure to which is lethal. The signs they left in cornfields are markers for ground invasions, which is really bad for Graham's family. Remember how one of those signs is in the cornfield right outside their farmhouse? This brings us to the climax of Signs, a climax that is broken up into two parts. The first part is the climax of tension, the climax of this alien plotline. Graham and his family must bunker down in their home to try and survive the alien threat. I'm going to kind of speed through this section, but these tension-filled minutes during the invasion are a true masterclass of cinema. This movie takes its time, never really shows the threat, but we can feel their looming presence. Despite the fear in the air, Graham spends this time reminiscing on the birth of his children, and telling them pretty joyful stories about his memory of their birth. It's quite the contradiction to the scenario around them, the horrifying scenario. It's during this terrifying invasion that Morgan suffers from an asthma attack, without his inhaler. This inopportune attack serves as an important character beat for Graham, one of the most important beats of the entire film.
Don't do this to me again. Not again. I hate you. I hate you.
He still despises God, but listen to the first part of that line. Don't do this to me again. I don't know about you, but to me it sounds like he is genuinely talking to God, genuinely praying, even if he is praying with anger. Maybe it's luck, maybe it's a higher power, but Morgan does survive to the next morning. And better still, it seems all the aliens have retreated in the long hours of the night. With the danger seemingly gone, Graham's family ascend their basement stairs and walk right into the second part of Signs' climax, the thematic climax. Things aren't as safe as they initially thought. A lone remaining alien has poisoned Morgan and taken him hostage, forcing all parties into this nail-biting standoff. Staring down this terrifying monster from another world triggers something in Graham. It makes him remember the final words of his dying wife again, and with that, he slowly begins to put the pieces together.
We killed Meryl to swing away.
These words were more than a random memory of a dying woman. They were a sign from God, a message, a miracle.
Meryl, swing away.
Meryl's killer swing makes him the only one here capable of battling off this alien threat. During their fight, Meryl discovers something very fortuitous. The reason why all the aliens retreated in such a hurry in the first place. They die when exposed to water. If you remember, Bo has this weird tic about her drinking water. A tic that ensured the entire living room was flooded with glasses of water. A tic that seemed innocuous or even annoying, but was in reality a saving grace, another miracle. With the alien killed, all that remains is the condition of Morgan, who should be dead after exposure to the poison. But by this point, Graham knows better.
It can't be luck. His lungs were closed. His lungs were closed. No poison got in. No poison got in. His lungs were closed. His lungs were closed.
His asthma, a breathing condition that hours earlier threatened to end his life, is now the reason he's still breathing at all. A truly unexpected miracle. All of these signs culminating back to back to back makes it undeniable. Graham understands it now. Graham sees it now. God has been out there this whole time, and he never stopped looking out for his family.
Can someone save me?
I think someone did.
These last few minutes of the movie bring me to tears every time I see them. Even if you're an atheist, Shyamalan is still able to make you understand how impactful these events are for Graham. But let me tell you, as a Christian, this sequence makes for one of the most wonderful endings to a film I've ever seen. Not to mention, incredibly important and meaningful. You see, unlike Graham, I've never had a lack of faith in God, but across my life, I certainly have had a lack of faith in the world, and I suppose by extension, a great deal of uncertainty surrounding God's judgment. Hell, look at the world right now. I look at the state of things, and I sometimes think, how could God allow things to be this bad? I'm living in a time where basic human freedoms are being stolen by the supposed leaders of the free world. I'm living in a time where the greed of the wealthy is so ravenous, they've resorted to cannibalizing their own future to satiate their bottomless hunger. I'm living in a time where the very message of Christianity itself, a message that I clearly hold so dearly, is often poisoned with words of hatred, persecution, prejudice, injustice, bigotry, and indefensible hypocrisy. Living at a time like this, it's so easy to lose hope, and I often do. And that's why stories, like the one from the movie Signs, are so important to me. Because it's a story about being swallowed by darkness and still finding faith to trust in God. It's a story about hope. A story about reassuring you, no matter how bad things are, whether you're suffering at the hands of narrow-minded old men with too much power, or suffering at the end of the world level invasion from beyond the stars, you are not alone. This story is incredibly important to me. I think it's Shyamalan's best film, and I'm so happy it exists. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please remember to leave a like, a subscribe, or why not join my YouTube memberships? With it, you'll get shoutouts, Q&As, early access to videos, and the ability to look at all of my scripts, including this one, complete with editing directions written in red. I am new to this, so feedback about what's working or what's not is welcome. Thank you for watching this video to the end. It really does mean a lot to me that people enjoy the things I make. With all that said, please remember to stay positive, stay hopeful, and have a wonderful day, everyone.